Hello guys, this is Krishna Adya, and in last session we studied about a complete project using HTML and PHP that performs all four basic operations. The four basic operations include insert, update, delete and select that we perform using our database that was my favorite movies. Now what to do in this session? In this session we will start a new thing that is JavaScript. So now let's see what is JavaScript, how to use it and some basic syntax of JavaScript. What is JavaScript? JavaScript is object-oriented and client-side programming language. Object-oriented means JavaScript focus more on the objects and client-side. So there are two types of languages, that is client-side or server-side. What is the difference between both? Client side means the processing is done in the client side, no need to go to the server. And in server side, the processing are performed on the server. Client side makes the JavaScript more faster than other languages, and due to that, the server gets less load. It is interpreted language. The language can be either interpreted, compiled or both interpreted and compiled. Now what is the difference between both, that is interpreted and compiled? Interpreted means the code of this language is checked line by line, and in compiled the whole code is checked and then the error is given. It is used to create dynamic pages and to add some effects into the page. Now what do you mean by adding some effects into the page? The effects like when you hover on a text, the color should be changed, or when you press any button, a alert message should be displayed that you have clicked me or you have clicked this button. So to give that type of effects, JavaScript is used. Now how to write the JavaScript? JavaScript code is written between script tags. You can place JavaScript anywhere in the code, means you can place the script tags and between the body tag or in the head tag, but generally it is placed in the head tag. Now how to declare the variable in JavaScript? To declare the variable in JavaScript, var keyword is used. Let's see example. var x or var x equal to 2 means when you declare a variable or when you initialize a variable in JavaScript, at that time only var keyword should be used. When you use that variable, that time you doesn't have to use the var keyword. Okay, so now let's see JavaScript control statements. So what are control statements? Control statements means the statements like if else, that controls our program. Means if this condition is true, then this statement should be executed, else this statement executed. Types of control statements supported by JavaScript: if else, if, and switch. So now let's see how to use the JavaScript control statements in code. So over here we will create an HTML file. What the HTML file will do? HTML file will contain a button that will call the function. The function will be of JavaScript. What the function will do? In the function, a variable will be there that contains the value 10, and we will check that the variable is greater than 5 or not. If the variable is greater than 5, then we have to display a message. To display a message in JavaScript, document.write is used, just like we use echo in PHP. So now let's try it. Let's create an HTML file. I am giving the name of the file as if.html. Let's give the title as control statements. And we need a button over here. And the value will be click me. The click me value means the text of the button. Now let's give the attribute that is on click. What the on click attribute will do? On click means when the button will be clicked, what action you want to perform. That action should be written between these double inverted commas. In our case, we need to call a function. The name of the function will be GRT. So now let's create a GRT function with the help of JavaScript. For that, we need the script text, and the attribute is given over here, that is type equal to text or JavaScript. this attribute is not mandatory. If you remove that from the script tag, then also it will work properly. It is just there to show that the script is JavaScript. Now let's initialize a variable. So for that, the keyword var is used, and name of the keyword, that is x, and the value of it, that is 10. So now let's create a function grt if x is greater than 5, then we have to display a message. As we learned that to display the message, document.write is used. And the message will be x is greater than 5. So now this was the code of if control. Now let's see this works or not. So let's run the code. The name of our code was if.html. Now when I will click the button, yes, x is greater than 5. This works. Why x is greater than 5? Because as I explained that variable x contains the value 10 and 10 is greater than 5. So the message is displayed that x is greater than 5. Now let's see how the else is used. If x is greater than 5, then the message will be displayed that x is greater than 5. But what if the x is not greater than 5? Then we need the else part. What to do in the else part? That is, let's display the message in the else part with the help of document.write that x is smaller than 5. So now let's first test that after adding the else part, if part works or not. So let's again reload the page and click yes, x is greater than 5. This works. Now let's change the value. From the value 10, let's give the value 4. So now according to our if condition, else part will be executed because 4 is not greater than 5. 4 is less than 5. So let's see that else part works or not. X is smaller than 5. So the else part also works. Now what is our next task? Our next task is to use the else if statement. So let's create an else if statement over here, that else if, and in the else if part we need to give a condition. Else if x is less than 5. Then we have to show the message that x is smaller than 5. And in the else part we will see the message that both are same. So if x is greater than 5 means if the value of the x is greater than 5, then this part will be executed. If this condition becomes false, then the control will pass to the else if condition. What is the else if condition? That x is less than 5. In our case over here, this else if condition will be become true. But if and else if both conditions become false, then else part will be executed that both are same. So now let's change the value of x one by one and then try all the functions. So first let's see the if works or not by adding the else if. So let's give the value 10 over here. That will be 10 is greater than 5. So if part will be work. Yes, x is greater than 5. If works properly. Now our next task is to check that else if works or not. So let's decrease the value to 4 because 4 will be less than 5. So the else if will be true and x is smaller than 5 will be executed. x is smaller than 5, else if path works properly. Now let's try our last path, that is else path. So to become true the else path, we need to change the value over here from 4 to 5. Now else path will be executed. Let's see that it works or not. Both are same. So all the three conditions, that is if, else if and else, that are all three control statements works. Now our next and last control statement is switch case. So to perform the switch case, we need a new file. So let's create a new file, and I will be creating the file as switch.html. So now in this file, we will perform the switch statement. Let's give the title as switch statement. Again, I need a button over here, and let's give the value as check my grades. And when the button will be clicked, we need to call the function. So on click attribute and give the name of the function, that is GRT. Now the script tag, and then let's create a function. But before the function, we need some variables, that is so over here in the function GRT, we have taken a variable GRD and we have given the value as 2. And when the switch GRD means this is the syntax of the switch case. Now the function will be executed within the switch case. So to execute the switch case, first of all, the switch case contains all the cases, that is case 1 colon, and the first case over here we have to write that your grade is A, and then we have to break. Why we need the keyword break over here? Means that if the case 1 executes perfectly, case 1 condition is true, then break the code and be the control out from this switch case and then execute the next code. But if the case 1 is not true, then we have to transfer to the next case. How to see that which case is corrected? It is seen from the value which is given over here. So now let's give the case number 2, that is case 2, and in over here in case 2 we have to write this document.write, and the message will be your grade is B. Then let's give our last case, that is case 3, and message will be your grade is C. So in if or else if the condition becomes false, then the by default else path will be executed. The same works in the switch case. The else path is declared like default. Means if all the cases becomes false, then the default case will be executed, and in the default case we will print that you are failed. So let's print the message as you are failed, and better luck next time. So by this way the switch code is written. Now let's test that switch works or not. So our file was switch.html. When I will click on the button, your grade is B. Why? Because I have given the value 2 over here. If I give the value 1 over here, then the switch case 1 will be executed. Your grade is A. And let's test with case 3. Your grade is C. So now let's see that default works or not. So let's give the value over here 4. The 4, there is no case 4 over here, so the default will be executed. You are failed, better luck next time. So our switch text also works properly. So over here, all the 4 control statements which is supported by JavaScript is completed. That is if, else if else, if else, and switch. So by this way you can perform the control statements in JavaScript. Thank you for watching my video. If you like it, then please subscribe my channel.